Evening, folks. Me again, Santa Fox here, the Road to Patriots 2 channel, and I figured I'd bring y'all a couple of clips today from none other than the great Tom Homan. The more I get to know this guy, the more I like him. I'm talking about former ICE director and now going to be the official border czar for Trump. He doesn't even have to get sworn in, so he's a confirmed. No two ways about it. Now, since the election has happened, so many people have been elated and happy and just feeling better inside and more uplifted in spirits. And I'm one of those people just enjoying the good life, knowing that greater things are to come. Because of the fact that Trump is the new boss, he's back in town. He's not even in office yet. He's already got these world leaders like Trudeau showing up at Mar-a-Lago, trying to butter the bread, kiss the ring, kiss the rear, whatever need be, but capitulate to what Trump needs in order to prevent from being punished. And the Mexico leader will be the next one down there. Watch and see. No doubt about it. These leaders know Trump is no joke. He is the real deal. He is a boss. And this video clip here, he says, "This is how I've been feeling since election night." And when I see this clip, I think about this clip. I think this is how our leader needs to be, considering the last leader we had been getting pushed around the entire 4 years. I'm talking about Biden and Kamala, the entire Democrat Party. This was about 2017. Trump was at a summit, and they kind of pushed him to the back of the line somehow, and he just kind of, no, I ain't doing all that. Let me get up here with the rest of them. And that's what we need. We need somebody that's assertive. And so this little clip here is just how I think everybody in Trump's cabinet ought to be. They ought to be fearless, like Mr. Tom Homan, like so many of them, that like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., so many that he has in his cabinet that are just giving the system the double-barrel middle fingers by telling them how the cow ate the cabbage, how we're going to expose the corruption, how we're going to fire the creeps, and we're going to get to the bottom of so many things that need to be exposed for the public need to know. Now, things are changing quick here, folks, but if anybody remembers this, let me know in the comment section. This is what we need back, and we got 57 days, folks, and it's happening. Let's watch that again. I never get tired of that. He wanted to make sure he was part of the conversation. He should be. He's the leader of our country. Now, if y'all don't know who Tom Homan is yet, you ain't done your research. This guy is going to be Trump's #1 guy to help deport people. I'm talking about building deportation stations here in Texas, motivating me and activating the law enforcement to help with the problem. Hopefully going to be able to use the National Guard, military if necessary, whatever means necessary at our disposal to use not just the Border Patrol, but all vehicles and things as well, to make sure this happens in an expedited situation. Just as easily as the NGOs flew these people into this country, somebody's going to have to just as easily round them up and fly them out. And so there's going to be contracts for somebody. Hopefully we won't hire the same people that flew them in to fly them out. I'm talking about Catholic Charities and a lot of these NGOs. But that was one of the things I've been curious about Tom Homan, how exactly this deportation is going to work. Obviously, we're going to have facilities, which that has been let out of the bag here in the last couple of weeks. They're already building one here in Texas. But are we going to facilitate flights to send them home? How's this going to happen? Who's going to finance this? And he's already started to explain this a little more because he's been on several of the morning shows, several of the cable news networks, just explaining what he's fixing to have to do. He's like Trump, just going, this is what's going to have to be. We're going to have to fix it like this. He says, when Trump's team returns on January 20th, we'll take control and hold people accountable. We'll investigate what the United Nations had to do with this crisis, meaning letting all these people in. Who in Biden administration enabled it, and which NGOs were involved. We'll be transparent and we'll tell the American people the truth about the border crisis. So we're not only going to fix the problem, we're going to point the finger at who caused the problem. We're going to hold people accountable. That's what I want to hear. Now, what's the plan, Tom?
But my plan is, and I've been very vocal about this, we're going to contract as much work out as we can. Work that doesn't require a badge and a gun, because I need badges and guns on the street to do the deportation operation. So when it comes to driving bus transportation, whether it's ground or air, whether it's processing, whether it's some other administrative duties, contract that work out. Because right now we got badges and guns doing that work. Get them out of that administrative work, put more on the street, and that's what we're going to do. And if these sanctuary states and cities keep pushing back, I'll have the extra resources to double manpower in those sanctuary cities. Because if we can't arrest that bad guy in the jail with one agent, it means I got to send a whole team out in the field to find this person. And for officer safety reasons, we need a whole team rather than just one person.
Did you hear what he said there? What he's saying is all these cities across the entire nation, including sanctuary cities, need to go on and give us full access to their databases, access to their jails, access to the inmates that are locked up that actually have an illegal status, don't actually have the right to be in this country, and over their crime alone, we will deport them immediately. So one of the things that's going to have to happen is we're going to have to go city by city, state by state, county by county, and actually expose these idiots that are saying, no, you can't see who's in our jail. No, you can't have our inmates because they're illegal. That's when it's going to get ugly and there's going to be lawsuits. But I think for the most part, these world leaders have capitulated to what Trump wants as far as the border and the immigration situation on their end to help. And these mayors are going to have to figure it out just as well. I think 90% of them will get on board immediately. But there's going to be a few idiots that we're going to have to make an example out of. And like Tom Homan said, we got a deal. If you want to go to jail, I'll put you in jail. I heard him say it on one of the talk shows. No doubt about it. He's not trying to put anybody in jail as far as American citizens. But if you obstruct, boy, howdy, it's on you. We'll listen to a little bit more of him here, but I've got several clips of Tom Homan today.
So this is the plan we're putting together, and Governor Abbott's come to the table. He's the first one to come to the table, and I accepted it and shook his hand and said, let's go, let's move forward, let's do it.
Tom, I know that you often talk passionately about the humanitarian crisis that is our border crisis. You have some of these Democrats don't seem to care, and when babies are drowning in the Rio Grande, don't say a word about it, including our border czar Kamala Harris most days. We don't hear them talk about the...
All right, I've heard enough of her. I don't like her. Kellyanne Conway, just something about her I don't like. We'll move right along, jump right past her weird self. Now, like I said, folks, I've got several things I was curious about involving Mr. Tom Homan. But before we get into that, let's look at what Hillary said about open borders and immigration and deportation not that many years ago.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line. So I think we...
Oh, Hillary Clinton there for a minute sounded like a Republican. Just not that many years ago. See, open borders were never cool till Trump decided to close the border. Now, this here is a local law enforcement officer. Forget what city this is in. Oh, this is in Eagle Pass, Texas. Showing the migrant picture, but I forget what county this officer is from. But he is talking about the deportation process is going to happen. It's inevitable. He's here to help. Let's check it out.
See solution-wise that would help law enforcement bridge the gap?
Absolutely. Bring them in through the ports of entry and make sure we know who they are, DNA checks, fingerprints, and make sure we know who they are and what their purpose is in the country. Again, to come to the country to make it better is great, but we have too many people not just crossing in for ill will, as the individual who murdered Rachel Moore in here did, committing a crime out in Los Angeles before finding his way to our county and taking Rachel's life. But we have people being trafficked in, and the people who are making money, the cartels in Mexico, they're taking, if they have IDs, they're taking them away from them, and again being discarded along the border on the south side, and they're showing up at non-ports of entry and presenting a name, making up a name, and that's how they get put into the system, and that's how they are moving about our country so freely.
It sounds like the kind of cornerstone of President-elect Trump's plan to get these deportations up and running is to allow, and in some instances require, local law enforcement authorities to work hand in glove with ICE, something that a lot of sanctuary cities, outright ban right now. Even if he's able to achieve that, which it sounds like he'll be able to do pretty easily, I understand from a bunch of law enforcement guests this week that this other problem remains of you still can't deport folks who are here illegally before their home countries agree to accept them, meaning anticipating a huge buildup of folks here awaiting deportation. Does that concern you?
Well, it does, and certainly the solution to that, at least part of the solution to that, is secure the border first and foremost. And we saw the most secure border during my 40 years of law enforcement when President Trump was in office for 4 years. So hopefully we're going to first do that, stop the flow in, and then we can worry about what we do, particularly with those criminals who are here. And I'm proud that, as sheriff, it was actually President Obama's administration who put us into the 287G program, where we work with our ICE partners, Homeland Security, on people who are arrested in this county, processed at our detention center, and then ICE makes a decision based on national security and public safety whether they're going to be deported. So hopefully, more jurisdictions will be put into that program.
You see what's going on here, folks? We're getting local law enforcement being told from the top down, like here in Texas, starting with our governor, being told from the top down, you're fixing to have to enforce deportations, checking people for legality, and detaining them because they're going to, at one point, be deported as soon as we get these deportation centers in order. And we fix one problem that we have left with this whole situation, one real problem, and that is for the countries to accept these people, figure out how they're going to accept these people back into their own deportation, into their own facilities, or just dropping them over the fence. I don't know, but they're definitely going to have to capitulate and agree to it. That's what Venezuela is going to have to do as well. So many of these countries are going to have to take their people back, and they're actually setting up to do it. Now, the left does not like Tom Homan. They think he is a horrible person. They think he's racist against Mexicans and all this, that, and the other. But truth be known, that's not the situation at all. He just cares about our country. And that's the bottom line. Now, this here is... see if I can get this thing to stop spooling.
Join me now, Tom Homan.
This is Tom Homan, ICE director, or former ICE director, now Border czar, speaking about what we're going to do. This was actually earlier today.
The man tapped as Trump's border czar. He's going to oversee the enforcement of the border, the deportation of millions of migrants who game the system, many of them criminals, who are allowed in under fraudulent circumstances. Tom, thank you for joining us. This testimony, it was so hard to watch. I forced myself to watch it because we all, as Americans, need to watch this. Your reaction to what you just heard?
Laura, a lot of people ask me why I get so emotional when I do Fox News and why I scream at members of Congress. Because I've seen so much tragedy. I've talked to hundreds of angels and moms and dads who buried their children because they're killed by illegal alien. This is the latest. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by members of cartel. When you look in her eyes and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her soul, and her life will never be the same. I mean, it's just, I'm tired of it. And the government failed the Lake and Riley family. Not only, if President Trump was president, he'd be sitting in Mexico in the Remain in Mexico program. And if he did get to New York and he was arrested for injury to a child in New York, ICE would be able to arrest him because the priorities under Trump were if you're in the country illegally, you're a target. But because Secretary Mayorkas put the priorities so low, even the injury to the child didn't meet the standards, so ICE could even place a detainer on him.
Now, I brought you this clip for one particular reason. Show you something about Tom Homan that most people don't really see on the surface. The reason he's pissed off, the reason he's emotional, the reason he's angry, the reason he's willing to do probably one of the hardest jobs in the world for a lot of people would be to actually round people up and send them somewhere else. It sounds like a horrible job, but in reality, he's probably going to be able to appreciate his job when he actually sees that people aren't coming anymore and dying in the desert on their way here. When the fact that human trafficking slows down in this country by 90%, when they actually close the border and stop it. And so many other statistical things that will help. I believe Tom Homan is not just a bulldog that's going to get the job done. He's going to get the job done because he feels for the people of this country and for those people as well. And it's just looking out for human safety. And you can't blame the guy having an emotional response when he hears these stories and these people come up to him and say, my daughter, these illegals, I hate to hear it myself. So for anybody that thinks negative things about Tom Homan, you have no idea what a hard job he's fixing to have to do. But I believe he is one of the few people that actually has the resolve to do it because he gets it more than most. You couldn't just put an average bureaucrat in there to do something like this. It wouldn't work. And so I'm just glad to see that he's the one. Hopefully everybody enjoyed their turkey day, had a good day off. Had a wonderful day off, should I say. Now this here is a lawsuit that involves an NGO in Chicago about the illegal immigrants and contracts. I figured I'd bring y'all this as well because that's one of the things I do worry about. Are we going to prosecute these NGOs, which Tom Homan said at the beginning of this video, we're going to investigate, we're going to prosecute them because it's pretty easy to figure out who they are, where their money comes from, how they're involved. Probably pretty easy to go undercover and actually expose some of these. But the fact of the matter is there's probably 100 of these things out there now. Catholic Charities has got to be one of the worst. But let's go ahead and watch this. This is a new lawsuit reveals information about Chicago using NGOs to sign contracts to illegal migrant shelters to hide how much is being spent. Not good.
Which for months has followed the money trail tied to Chicago's migrant mission. Total spending now tops more than $400 million.
Now, despite the creation of a city spending website, it's still not exactly clear where all of that money has gone. In this follow-up report, investigative reporter Bennett Haberly uncovers some new information not shared by the city.
Consider these numbers. More than 6,000 people still live in city-run migrant shelters. That means costs are still adding up. Since August of 2022, the city of Chicago has spent more than $400 million, according to the city's spending website. Nearly $253 million went to one private company, Kansas-based Favorite Healthcare Staffing, which staffs the shelters. Another $76 million went to Equitable Social Solutions. That company partnered with another called ReloShare, which helped identify and sign lease agreements with property owners of the buildings that eventually became the migrant shelters.
That's where a number of those leases are.
But when we asked the city months ago for copies of these lease agreements, we were given just 9 out of 27. The use of these private companies has helped mask from public view where the public dollars have flowed. What we didn't know until now is how much the property owners of the migrant shelters were earning. But thanks to a new lawsuit, we're being provided some more clarity. A lending company filed this lawsuit last month against 2 Chicago developers, alleging they did not make it clear when they signed a loan agreement that the building in the West Loop would be used to house migrants. What is not in dispute is that the owners of the Ogden shelter are paid $150,000 a month by ReloShare as part of a use agreement. That means in a year's time, they'd receive more than $1.8 million. The lease agreement also calls for additional payments of up to $400,000 if the number of migrants inside the Ogden shelter exceeds 650. The latest figures show more than 700 people still live here. If there are public dollars involved, shouldn't the public know where they flow?
100%.
Back in March, Alderman Andre Vasquez, the chair of the City Council's Migrant Committee, told us aldermen themselves have had a hard time accounting for all the spending. I guess that's still the question that's out there. When we attempted to ask Mayor Brandon Johnson about this at the time, he said this.
Again, we're meeting you right where you are.
Were it not for this new lawsuit, the public would have no idea how much these property owners are earning.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
We pressed the mayor about this last week and asked if he would consider adding the information to the city's website. He said this.
We have given an accurate account of how dollars have been spent.
That was a hard no. He didn't give up the information. It is not information. This is Chicago, one of the crookedest cities in the country. Here's my point. This is happening in Chicago with these NGOs and the influx of the people and the migrants and the money and the whole shenanigans. But that's just one spot in Chicago. This is actually happening in every major big city, especially if they say they're a sanctuary city. I'm guessing the entire state of California is in on this fleecing. They're literally robbing the government. These people are making outrageous salaries in order to facilitate letting these people in the country and paying their way long enough to, I guess, get them in and get them on the voter registry, get them set up on benefits. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. It makes sense for these people because they're making the money. But the actual purpose of influxing them, I guess they just don't care. But this is not just happening in Chicago, folks. It's just Chicago got caught. I hope they get in there and look at every city that considers themselves a sanctuary city that is taking money from the White House, federal funds, in order to facilitate this whole problem, starting at the top with these big NGOs and the mayors of these large areas. All right, here we go.
That's it. Is there anything that would preclude your administration from sharing that level of detail?
There's no information that has been kept from you.
Johnson then reiterated talking points he's made before, how he's renegotiated contracts to save taxpayer money, and how Congress has failed to provide additional financial relief. He also doubled down, incorrectly stating that all spending information is available.
That information is available to you, sir.
Not all of it, though, is, sir. I mean, that's
Can you
the
give
point.
me a specific example of what's not available?
The Ogden shelter in the West Loop, that's what is spelled out in this lawsuit, that they get $150,000 just for being the property owner per month. Nowhere is that available on the city's spending website. My question, again, is simply, is there anything that would preclude you from including that level of detail? You guys have said you're transparent. Why not show it?
All of the information related to the spending to this mission is available.
He got busted. No doubt about it. That's that hidden income crap we're not disclosing. Yes, folks, I think we're starting to turn this country around. Even though the left-wing media knows that they're tripping a little bit still. They're finally getting over their original meltdown that Trump is the new boss. But what's going to happen is on Inauguration Day, they're going to feel the wound all over again. It's going to be like voting day all over again. No doubt about it, folks. Now this here, CNN Casey Hunt visibly stunned after playing a clip of Tom Homan saying he would gladly throw Denver Mayor Mike Johnson in jail. And we've all seen this clip, haven't we? We're going to play it again anyway, in case you forgot.
Tom, you heard this mayor out there in Colorado. I want to get your reaction to it, and I want you to be clear about who has jurisdiction, the federal government or state and local governments. And if you're a sanctuary state or city, are you breaking the law?
You're absolutely breaking law. All you have to do is look at Arizona versus U.S. You'll see these breaking law. But look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. Because there's a statute. It's Title 8 United States Code 1324 III. And what it says is, it's a felony if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from immigration authorities. It's also felony to impede a federal law enforcement officer. So if we don't want to help, that's fine. He can get the hell out of the way. But we're going to go do the job. President Trump has a mandate for American people. We got to secure this country. We got to save American lives. And
we're either going to go around him or we're going to go through him. It's happening one way or another. Now, open borders have not always been so taboo. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is a compilation of several minutes. We won't play the whole thing, but I'll play you a compilation of some of the things that Democrats said about the border and immigration, just to show you that Trump's not evil for wanting to do this. This is not a new thing, deporting people.
Reform that is consistent with the rule of law.
We need to address the issue of immigration and the challenge we have of undocumented people in our country. We certainly don't want any more coming in.
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders, and that should help stem some of the tide of illegal immigration in this country.
I think the American people, they appreciate and believe in immigration, but they can't have a situation where you just have 500,000 people pouring over the border without any kind of mechanism to control it.
No great nation
It's kind of rich that he says that now, huh?
can be in a position where they can't control their borders. It matters how you control your borders, not just for immigration, but it matters for drugs, terror, a whole range of other things.
Into this breach, states like Arizona have decided to take matters into their own hands. Now, given the levels of frustration across the country, this is understandable.
I signed a presidential directive to the heads of all executive departments, instructing them to very quickly expand and strengthen our program to reduce illegal immigration in 4 key areas.
I support comprehensive immigration reform that is consistent with the rule of law.
We need to address.
Yeah, Democrats were all for immigration at one point, folks. They kind of changed their tune since Trump got back in town, or since Trump showed up. They realized they needed the illegal vote, the illegals to vote in future elections. I believe they needed it for census purposes, considering people are pouring out of these woke states like California and New York, and it's actually going to affect them not just in the electoral college, but it will affect them in the House seats and everything else. Now this here is Richard Jones of Butler County. Just announced that President Trump will grant sheriffs the power to raid workplaces to arrest and deport illegal migrant workers. We're getting geared up. We're making jail space available. President Trump and Tom Homan really gamed this out. Mass deportations wasn't just another talking point. Here we go, folks. Yeah, they're going to first check the jails. Then they're going to run around and deport people that are in the jails probably to these facilities before they get them out of the country. They probably got a systematic way they're going to go after different areas of the population, whether it be going after these NGOs to get the numbers, get the names, get the locations of everybody they can find, to just starting with the jails, starting with the criminals that we know where they're at, starting with the people that we know that actually don't have sanctuary status in this country but are still here. We're going to go right on down the list. Here we go.
We could actually go to the workplace and enforce immigration laws. We had it once before, but this president took it all away from all the sheriffs across the country. We house prisoners here. There's 2 287Gs, one to hold prisoners, one to go out and enforce immigration laws. We were trained, we had the certification, and President Biden's administration took it all away from us. We're going to get that back. We've been in contact with ICE. So it gives us the authority to go out into the community, to go to the workplace, enforce these laws, and help the federal government do their job. And we're happy. We're getting geared up. We're making jail space available. And one thing I know about illegal immigration, I've been doing this 20 years, is when you start going out and enforcing and apprehending people that are here illegally and enforcing the laws where people work in these factories illegally. We've got citizens. I had a lady that came to me and was given information where these places are all over the United States. Sheriffs, there's 3,300 sheriffs in the United States, each county. It's easier to deal with one local law enforcement in each county as it is thousands and thousands of police departments.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, they're mobilizing, folks. Mobilizing for mass deportation, figuring out how they're going to round them up, what they're going to do with them until they get them out of here. Now it's just a matter of putting the funds together and getting the system in place. I'm ready, folks. How about y'all? We're going to do a little bit more of crying from Jim Acosta. This is CNN. They're crying about Elon Musk. The only thing worse to them than Trump winning the election was the fact that Elon Musk is on his team. That really bites him in the ass. I can't tell you how much. All right, this is actually a little bit comical. Check it out, folks.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. And I do want to ask both of you about some video. If you haven't seen this video yet of Elon Musk getting chummy with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago for Thanksgiving, they were apparently dancing in their chairs to YMCA. And, you know, there's Barron Trump next to the president-elect, but there's Elon Musk right next to him in his sweater, I think, and a blazer. But, you know, Tara, I mean, this does raise a lot of questions about what Elon Musk's role will be in this incoming administration. I mean, just this week, he has been targeting federal employees on X. He has been going after people like Colonel Alexander Vindman, accusing him of treason the other day on X. And he's been given this very big platform with the government. According to Donald Trump, he's going to be finding areas to cut in the federal government. What do you make of this relationship right now?
It's all really creepy, but money talks. And it's clear that Elon Musk has a motive here. He sees by cozying up to Donald Trump, he's going to have influence in ways that he's never had before.
Yeah, he's got a motive. It's called cleaning up our government and maintaining free speech for our country because we believe in our Constitution.
Or not just being I mean, he's had a lot of influence being the richest man in the world. But this is a whole different thing. He's literally taking on the role of, you know, favorite son, first lady, and shadow president. This is scary stuff for people. And Elon Musk has no business having a security clearance, all of these government contracts, and now this level.
He has no business having a security clearance. This lady needs to realize Elon Musk has had a security clearance for years. He couldn't get a security clearance if he didn't have a security clearance, he wouldn't be able to have SpaceX. This lady's a moron.
Level of influence with the president of the United States. It's all dysfunctional. These guys are going through this like group trauma therapy session with each other. And the fact that Elon Musk is the guest that won't leave and that Donald Trump continues to give him this role, it speaks volumes. Why wasn't Elon Musk with his own family? Where is that? This is his new family now? This is his new project? Because he's so emotionally stunted.
That's enough. Oh, she's so mad that Trump and Elon are friends. It's just like it does not work with the Democratic narrative. It just kind of blows their whole mantra out the window. They wish Trump was all alone and hated by himself. But in reality, he's got 75+ million followers and a huge team of people around him that really not just want to be part of his cabinet, but appreciate him for what he's been doing for our country, been fighting for it for the last 8 years, including getting shot for it. These people are crazy. I decided I'd bring you all that silly commentary before we get out of here. I did want to bring y'all one more clip. This is something I found I thought was great. We've all seen the movie The Patriot, but I know everybody was probably around some family members over the holidays, over Turkey Day, having to sit with some people that may not have your same mind frame when it comes to politics. Hopefully we didn't get nobody into no arguments. Didn't fight with your in-laws too much. But we're probably fixing to have to do it again here in about another month, come Christmas time. So learn to bite your tongue, or be like this guy here and try not to drink too much and get into it with the liberals in the family. This is a great meme. Just thought I'd share it on the way out. Everybody have a great day. Like, subscribe, and share. Here we go. Freedom! Hopefully everybody had a great weekend or is having a great weekend, enjoying their time off, enjoying their time around the holidays, hopefully with some relatives and some friends to just help pass the time while we get ready to go back to work Monday. Everybody have a good one.